everyone. Welcome and thank you for taking the time to join us today. And I reckon some of you may already know me, but for those who don't know me, my name is Ahmed Mansour. I am VP of Emerging Markets in OpenTAS, and I'm lucky to be joined today by two industry experts in the region and also globally. Edmond Chammas. He is the president and CEO of EBS, Enterprise Business Solutions, a very active organization in the Middle East in the area of digital transformation. And he has a long history and decades of experience operating as partner for many organizations from different parts of the world, operating in the Middle East region. And I'm also joined by my colleague, our co-CEO, Monica Hildinger, who has vast experience in the digital transformation and combination of OT and IT in the area of the oil and gas business, and has been also actively involved in many projects in the Middle East region. And therefore, the combined insights and the combined experience of both participants is what I hope will be quite a rich combination for our session today. Now, just in terms of context and what motivated us to organize this session today is we have been observing the developments over the last decade in the Middle East region, with many developments in the area of modernizing the operation in terminal businesses, as well as developing new digital transformation strategies. We've seen many ambitious geopolitical developments over the last years and continue to see a ramp up in the region, which positions it as one of the most quickly developing parts of the world in the area of the terminal business. Now, if we put this in the context of some of the market dynamics and geopolitical changes that have been taking place, we see that it is now placed as the right place to be and the right place to develop this new wave of digital transformation and twinning between the OT and the IT to achieve real value and efficiency in the business. And there are concrete ways that we want to discuss today with regard to how each of the markets in the Gulf region can benefit from this. The reason I say each of the markets is because we can't deal with the GCC as one bundle. Each of the different countries have their own specifics, influences and participation from state-owned businesses, as well as private investments coming in from different parts of the world, and not just the West world, but also Middle East investments and Asian investments, as we see over the last few years, growing and influencing the business. Now, this requires also that we combine these kinds of challenges to create the right approach and the right combination of expertise, both from international and industry expertise, as well as local and business-connected proximity to the business collaboration. In that regard, I want to turn the first question to Edmond, and using your very extensive experience in that regard, I would like you to shed some light on this proximity and collaboration between parties as you see it evolving in the region.
Hello, Ahmed. Good afternoon. How are you? We're starting with the, I guess, the impact on digital transformation, right? And that's a very important topic these days. And it is, in my opinion, a vision, but it's also a requirement for most oil and gas companies, not only in the GCC region, but also around the world, in order to gain more from their assets, in order to make better decisions, in order to run more effective, efficient, and safe operations. So the objective is to really achieve operational excellence. And what's important to note that in my career of more than 30 years, 30 plus years working in the Middle East and in the US, especially in the last 30 years, my experience in the GCC region. What I want to say, I've done many projects in my portfolio. Some were portions of digital transformation or operational excellence. However, what's important to note, and this is very fundamental to the success of any strategy and a vision, especially for digital transformation, for the customer who is embarking on digital transformation, to understand that digital transformation is not acquisition or purchase of some software technology and some configuration of that technology. Business transformation is, digital transformation is really about business transformation. And business transformation means it affects the way the organization behavior vis-a-vis deploying technology. So it may require, and it will require, change management, it will require business process re-engineering, and definitely it will require long-term sustained performance, which is to ensure that the technology and the business process that were designed to fit that particular solution for that particular customer are continuously enforced and utilizing, complying with the business processes, workflows, and utilizing the tools and the way and the manner they were designed in order to achieve the benefits and the savings and the operational excellence. So, for example, in the GCC, my experience has been that the GCC customers normally, and it reflects the culture of the organizations, that they are more of, they follow. Okay, they're not leaders in the sense of adopting new technology. They would like such technology to be implemented elsewhere. They want that technology to be proven with other customers. They would like to do reference and site visits. They would like to ensure or mitigate and reduce the risk of them adopting and something goes wrong or it fails. And therefore, that culture, it is good. Sometimes there are customers who are more advanced, more proactive, more forward-thinking in the approach, and some are not. But in general, this is how the culture is. And therefore, applying and implementing digital transformation, this means that we have to address the cultural issues in the way we do the implementation. So customer proximity is very important. And this is why when we set up our partnership to address, and all our partnerships are with international companies like yours. And we believe that the success of such deployment depends on being close with the customer. So that's number one. So proximity to the customer is very important. It allows you to build a trust and close cooperation. You will approach also our approach. We are not a vendor. We are a partner. We are a solution provider. And therefore, we go to the customer before, and we don't give him a price list with a bunch of a list of products and we say which one fits you, and he chooses that. No, we don't talk about products. We go and address the business requirements, and then we build a business case and we build a value proposition. The last thing we talk about is the price. The price comes after we have done a thorough assessment of their business process, workflows, IT infrastructure, and the whole software solution, plus all the business process and the deployment approach. and then we will come up with a proposal. So a proposal will never be generated. And this is where we strive, Ahmed. Over the last 30 years, EBS as a company, as a partner, we go as a partner with our customers. We're not a vendor because we don't achieve value by just supplying. We cannot be a trader of supplying, equipment or software products. We stay with the customer. That's why we have repeat business. And all over the Middle East region with all the customers. I've done business with every customer in the Middle East. And therefore, the success also of us repeating the business is that customer confidence. And also the approach always we take is that we deploy our resources. And if you remember, I mentioned the culture, and the culture requires us to be mentoring, the end users, the operators, and then we do hand holding in addition to training. And that's what ensures success, Ahmed. It's a different culture than the Western culture. And this is where we advise our partners like you that the success of the implementation cannot be remote. It has to be most of it on site. And that's why selecting a strong partner who is a solution provider, and we balance between our expertise. This is how we can ensure we deliver successful project and we continuously achieve the benefits and the savings and the results.
Absolutely.
I hope I answered.
I think this takes the point home, because you mentioned a very important point, which is it's not just about digital transformation, it's a whole business transformation. And with the involvement of people comes the cultural proximity and the cultural connection and trust, which you build over multiple cycles of changes and new solution introductions as a long-term partner. Nobody can hope to just drop with a parachute from a Western company and be able to achieve any of that in the local markets. Very sound. And
Ahmed,
also
one last point, if you allow me.
Yes.
One last point. Also, when you are close to the customer, you understand better the requirement, their operating procedures. You can discover things that you cannot find just looking at a technical specifications that you receive. And so I never take the technical specifications as is, because technical specifications can never describe the whole requirements, the business process, the workflows. There are hidden things that you don't discover. You only discover by going to site, meeting with the various components of the user environment, and by asking questions and recording your comments. And then maybe it will take you more than one iteration in order to arrive at the optimal scope of work and the solution.
Absolutely. It's different than simple hardware improvements, albeit very important. The specifications don't tell the whole story. And we've seen in the hardware business over the last several decades, where a lot of the investments directed to modernization, that just by following the technical specs, it falls short. And there is a new frontier with modernization that combines these two aspects. And maybe now I want to engage a bit Monica in that regard. Where do you see the next frontier with modernization after all the investments in the shiny steel over the last decade?
Very good question. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you. And I was witnessing actually a few years in Middle East, I was witnessing this trend of hardware modernization and infrastructure modernization, so to say. And if I remember, I remember well, and I've also witnessed in the past years, we see new tanks, we see high capacity loading racks, we see high sophisticated metering systems in the region, we see upgraded latest jetties, so to say, and definitely also big investments in the safety infrastructure, all very important. And I would say it's one of a kind in the region. And I always say that the region is a truly world class from this perspective. But the next frontier is definitely not or it's not only about adding more steel, so to say, for the infrastructure. It's about making the steel more intelligent, if I may. So basically, I would describe the shift on 3 levels. So first of all, we need to make the assets intelligent through integration, data, and orchestration. So this means also that many terminals operate in silos. You have on one side, you have the DCS, which knows what happens in the field. You know, each truck system has its own logic. And on the other side, you have the ERP system, which has the financial overview. And these systems are not really integrated, and there is a huge amount of value which lies in both systems, but moreover in the integration of them. So basically, the next wave of modernization is creating a strong digital backbone here, where in a typical modern terminal, you have the so-called connection or interconnection of the OT and IT in real time. So this means it connects the meters, the control systems, the labs, and the terminals on the OT side with the resource planning, financing, customer portals on the IT side, on the other side. So this means that each liter which is physically moved on a terminal on site is being reflected in the physical movement of the TMS, stock position, a new stock level, a commercial transaction, and the financial value. So this is what I call, so the infrastructure is not just I would say a collection of assets, but it's an integrated, operated system. Then the second level, which I would like to mention here, is the best practice in the software, because today an enormous amount of operational excellence lives in the head of the experienced operators. So not only operators, but also planners and supervisors, so the staff on site. And this expertise is often documented in procedures or Excel files, but are not embedded into the systems. So basically, the true modernization lies in encoding all these best practices directly in workflows, checks, validations inside of a software. And the result is basically the operational quality becomes consistent, and the cross all shifts, because also the new employees which are coming, they will benefit very much and immediately on this process, which is supported digital, and not only through I would say knowledge transfer sessions one-to-one with different experienced operators and planners and shift supervisors on site. And the last level would be to build a digital and the digital capabilities of the people, so to say. So basically, digitalization fundamentally changes how people work, if we are all honest. So it's not only about introducing new systems, but it's also really a program for the people who are working with all these tools. So this requires new skills. This requires new skills for data interpretation, process thinking, and cross-functional collaboration. So in order to sum it up, to finalize my answer to your question, Ahmed, is basically the region has done a lot of, I would say, heavy lifting of the infrastructure, of the physical infrastructure. The next frontier is to connect, digitalize, and upskill around the infrastructure so that terminals can become and can operate more smarter, more safer, and more profitable, definitely. So this is my view on this part. But it's also quite interesting to see that we are always talking about two different programs. On one side, you do the infrastructure. On the other side, you do the software modernization. And then I would like to go back with a question to you, Ahmed, where basically from your ground experience in the regions, in the region and for the projects, what are the common challenges which you see when connecting this physical modernization, so the equipment, to the digital transformation, to the software level? You're muted. The most spoken word.
It's a very tricky one. It's a very tricky one because my experience is twofold, really. I've had my career start in the region, coming from the region myself, and spent the first couple of decades of my work life operating in the region, and after that moving to Europe, have been kind of brainwashed with another mindset of work. And only when we started again getting deeper into the engagement with the Middle East have I seen the difference in the last decade. The challenges have become a lot more sophisticated than the early days. The early days, just having an ERP system or some kind of automation was already bringing the business 2 or 3 steps ahead and making it more competitive. Nowadays, and with the sophistication of the developments happening in the IT world, in addition to the improvement on the OT world, on the operational technology world, this has now taken a different flavor, and the challenges have become more multi-layered and more complex. As you indicated, bringing the two together is already a challenge at the very base level. Sometimes just having the connection between these different layers and systems becomes a difficulty for certain companies, for certain operators. But then on top of that come other factors that play into the challenges, such as, for instance, cybersecurity. Now, in the last 5 to 10 years, this has taken a prominent focus and a prominent attention from different people in the region. And a lot of investment is now taking place to secure and harden the networks, make it less penetrable to ensure the safety of the operation. This is an element of this modernization that was not seen 20 years ago as a priority, now is a major important part. Another part is definitely the people, as you mentioned. There is a lot of effort needed to change mindsets. And mind you that the Middle East is a very multicultural environment. We say Middle East and we expect to meet only people from the Middle East, but you actually have a melting pot of different nationalities, different technological backgrounds, and even different ways of responding to change, and you have to address all of this. This is also where the value of having local on-the-ground participation, as Edmond mentioned, that becomes of great value to address this particular challenge of the multicultural aspect on the ground field. And then you face another layer of difficulty or challenge, which is the geopolitical changes taking place all around us. And the Middle East is front and center of all of this and has been historically, but even more now. So keeping track of all these challenges is a necessity. You can't just crack the difficulties in one go. You have to go one by one and address each and every one of them, which makes it quite a specific exercise and not a one-size-fits-all. I think we're going to talk a bit more about that, but I think at this point, the challenges are becoming more and more, like I said, sophisticated and requiring more attention to details and not just a typical out-of-the-box solution. Hope this answers your point.
Yes, definitely. And I think what I witness, as I mentioned also, that I think there is the split between we're doing first the hardware and afterwards the software. This is a little bit a problem which needs to be solved, because we are doing the hardware and doing the software afterwards, and then choosing perhaps one headline to improve efficiency, for example. But the question is, how
Monica,
do you do this? So, yes.
Monica, I wanted to just add, I agree.
Yes.
Yeah, in terms of one of the also challenging aspects as we are embarking on digital transformation and operational excellence and even terminal management is that hardware sometimes is not up to date. And therefore, you need to make sure that you upgrade your not just IT infrastructure, but also your SCADA, your data acquisition, your PLCs, your DCS, so that you can really be at the latest levels that can conform to the vision and the requirement and the strategies. And because software is always ahead. Software is always ahead it's enhancing and developing and progressing much faster than hardware. You know, even as you know, we are in the software business, we are in the consulting and solution business, and therefore, for us, it's easy to do an upgrade. It's not as easy to do an upgrade of a distributed control system or a SCADA system or a PLC or tank farm, right? So it will have to be scheduled. It needs to be done during mostly shutdowns, or if you're doing it during a refinery or terminal operations, you need to make sure you do it in a proper step with a hot cut over that does not jeopardize the safety and the operations. And these are important factors that need to be carefully considered as we are embarking on digital transformation.
Definitely. What I want to emphasize here is that when these kind of projects are happening, and if they happen with a target. So what are the expectations of a modernization and digitalization project? What is the expectation out of it? It might be efficiency, because we need to increase the throughput. But if someone mentions efficiency, the first thing which comes in mind is cost cutting, because we need to improve the efficiency. So let's cut some costs. So let's work with fewer people, smaller budgets, and in terminals it's a little bit tricky, because we cannot cut the people, because at a certain point it can also be dangerous, because safety and reliability are actually are non-negotiable, so to say. So from my perspective, efficiency it's much broader, and it's getting more useful throughput out of the same assets, reducing reworks and disputes and so on. So if you want to add, Edmond, so from your perspective, how do you define the true efficiency? I think you wanted to add anyways from the beginning on.
Yes, Monica, we face this every day, and this reflects sometimes the maturity of the organization, because most of the solutions that we are selling, we call it selling, but actually it's a value proposition. These are a long sales cycle. They require lots of upfront consulting and building the business case and the return on investment and the cost of implementation and support and so on. And therefore, it's a long sales cycle. We're not in the product business, okay? We are in the solution. So we bring high value to a customer. And therefore, efficiency, when we go and tell customers about efficiency, and this is kind of broad, I'm going to first say it in a broad way. And then maybe I can talk a little bit about terminal and operators. From a broader term, sometimes customers who do not really or who are not very well advanced in terms of the digital transformation, operational excellence, may view that this is just a software. And maybe they would like to negotiate and reduce and cut and everything. And if you don't have the background, maybe the best you should do is maybe hire a consultant, an independent consulting, to help you. And I've done that many times with many customers, that I propose they should hire a PMC or an independent consultant to help them with the definition of the scope of work and the front-end engineering and the assessment and validating what we propose in terms of value proposition, and also to act as a customer arm in the implementation to ensure that the solution provider and the customer are fully aligned every step of the way during implementation, especially for our type of solutions that require business process re-engineering, or if it's a new solution, it's developing the blueprints for the baseline business process workflows and so on. And therefore, it's key, in my opinion. So efficiency is not about cost reduction. Efficiency is about maximizing the value, okay, out of your assets, and ensuring that you operate and you run your assets in the most efficient, safe, without any interruption, and ensuring also that you are complying to environmental conditions and restrictions and laws and emissions. So to me, these are what should be the key factors in addressing the efficiency. In terms of terminal operators, so when oil terminal operators talk about efficiency, so many people immediately think that it's about cost reduction. But in fact, in the terminal world, true efficiency is much more strategic and broader. And it's about creating a terminal that is safer, that is more reliable, that is more competitive, and more future-proof, not just cheaper. So the terminal has to be also ready to adapt to different changes and requirements and future expansion. And to me, these are key factors that should be or should be considered. Of course, you should always run at the optimum way. Okay, so if you can reduce by optimizing the operation, but not cutting manpower. Okay, so if you say, I need to operate, so you don't start cutting people, okay, and cutting budgets and cutting technology, and therefore you go and you expose yourself to unforeseen incidents and accidents which cost you a lot, or you deliver products that are not up to the specs, or you don't have terminals with enough inventory to serve your customer on time. I hope I addressed it in the most appropriate manner. If you have anything that you would like to add, Monica, just let me know. But and in the meantime, also, I would like to kind of ask you, how does bridging OT and IT create tangible business outcome?
It's a very good question, which follows your answer, so to say, because OT and IT is one of the levers, so to say, for improving the efficiency on a terminal. I truly believe this, but traditionally they live in separate worlds, especially in the region. If we think about cybersecurity, necessities and so on, the region was always conservative in this perspective. But now I feel that it's also the time to change, because also the big platform providers are providing and are supporting this kind of IT-OT convergence at the moment. So if we think about the business outcomes from this convergence of IT-OT, the first thing which comes in mind is the throughput and uptime. So when you have an end-to-end overview of and the real-time overview, definitely, what's happening in the field, till I would say, what happens on the contractual level. So when you have, for example, an order loading on site at a truck loading facility, and you already know that the transaction or the loading procedure takes 17 minutes, then you know approximately 25 minutes the truck will be on site approximately. So you actually know when the completion takes place, and you also can calculate and can upscale this towards a daily throughput and so on. So from this perspective, you have more transparency by bridging from the terminal level to the financial perspective, to the contractual perspective, what's happening on site. Secondly, I would say, as a business outcome, is the topic of the risk and compliance, because by having a terminal management system, which is actually at the convergence of OT and IT, you have one single source of truth, one record. You don't have a separate system where you have the movements, with a separate system where you have customs reports, or you have lab results and so on. At the moment where you have one single source of truth, you also have auditable data for the others. So this means this is per definition a business outcome, and a very important one, to have the risk minimized and to be always compliant on all the value chains, so to say. And the third point would be the commercial aspect and strategic agility, because when you have the same view from the commercial and operational perspective, you have the same real-time view of the capacity, of the constraints, then the decision-making accelerates massively. So instead of waiting hours for an answer, for example, for the operations regarding capacity or reallocation of the tanks, you can take the decision immediately because you have the same real-time overview as operators on site by having this. So once OT and IT are aligned, you create a foundation for analytics, for forecasting, and also for AI, so to say. But without this bridge, those tools are isolated. So bridging OT and IT is not just a technical exercise, it's actually a real throughput lever, as mentioned, a risk reduction, and definitely a commercial agility topic at the same time. So I hope this answers from the business perspective how a TMS and also the ITOT definitely can support the business outcome here. And I would like then to come back with a question to you, Edmond. And you mentioned at the very beginning in the introduction, you mentioned a very interesting topic, which I liked it very much, because in our experience, when we are talking to our customers, also as a trusted partner and consultant, we are always talking about end-to-end processes, order to invoice, what's happening in this process. So we always start with talking to the customer, listening, thinking in processes, creating for the customer process house. And there is no session where we are not able to find blind spots, which are not visible, any kind of, I would say, nowhere visible. Our phone calls, our emails, and so on. So there are typical activities which are not registered. So from your project, which you're running, where do you see the biggest blind spots? You were mentioning at the very beginning, Edmond.
Yeah, at the beginning, I was talking a lot about the business process. If you map it out properly and the proper details, then that part, if it's captured in the way the technology is implemented, then of course you can avoid a lot of issues and gaps in the solution, and you can get the customer and the operator's acceptance much faster and quickly. It's about confidence and building confidence with the customer, and if you are able to establish that early on upfront, I think it will be a very strong and very successful business endeavor, and also how the business also develops in terms of support over the years and the enhancements that the technology provider implements and how the customer receives such enhancement. But in terms of blind spots and the terminal operations today, I believe the biggest blind spots I see internal operations today, issues that quietly erode performance, are primarily safety and competitiveness, okay, that often go unnoticed or under prioritized. So if we kind of zoom out, okay, to these kind of issues, we can summarize them into like a number of points. So number one is insufficient real-time visibility, over-reliance on manual processes, underutilization of data, and this is why a modern terminal management system, and also fully integrated with their ERP and with their hydrocarbon supply chain system, is key. And this is where an end-to-end hydrocarbon supply chain for a refinery, for example, is required and is fundamental to a successful digital transformation solution and program. And then aging workforce, I think this is key also. Without knowledge capture, how do you capture the knowledge and you transfer the knowledge to the new people? And then finally, understanding the customer expectations. Also, that is important. So in summary, all these points need to be addressed and need to be captured during the modernization and the digital transformation vision and strategies for a customer. And of course, I would rather also, when I look at a solution like terminal management, that it is not only viewed from that context, but from the overall digital transformation context, to ensure that you did not really oversee any points, key points, whether it's about integration and about, at the end, it's about data and data, quality of data and data management. So this is why having the proper data and having the reliable data, trusted data, is key to the whole successful project or journey. Because I call business transformation and digital transformation is a journey, and it doesn't stop, it evolves. So the implementation may take 3 to 5 years. I'm talking about a complete refinery, but it's a journey that doesn't stop. So the business process evolves, the methodology evolves, the workflow evolves, the technology evolves, and also you need to address the customer requirements and the challenges from other competitors in the region and around the world, and the requirements from your customers. So you need to be always ready on the leading edge of your best operational practices and technology utilization. So
thank you very much.
Yeah. So I hope I addressed it to your satisfaction.
Yes, definitely. Especially now for us as a technology provider, and generally for all the technology providers, the biggest change is the biggest challenge is to keep pace with all the changes which are happening, because definitely we are building our software based on other platforms and on tools which are supporting, definitely. So it's also very important, because in a modernization project, how, as you mentioned, 3 to 5 years, a lot changes, so to say. And this is important, that also a change management process takes place on our customer side while implementing these projects. Because if the people, so change management on all the levels, definitely, but if the people do not understand what's happening and having the desire to keep the pace with the change, then this is where the biggest friction takes place, so to say, because you finish a project after 5 years, and then the technology is already old, if we are honest.
True.
From the software
Monica,
perspective.
I have a follow-up question to you,
Yes.
to what I was discussing. How does digitalization, in your opinion, through terminal management system, directly contribute to revenue improvement and decision-making agility?
Well, to be honest, I always say that terminal management systems are the heart of the terminal, and are the heart of the terminal at the IT/OT convergence. So basically, as the heart of the terminal, also one of the, I would say, the most important software on the terminal. So to say, I leave apart the safety, definitely, to be understood, but definitely the data which lies in a terminal management system is what has value out of it. And I would answer it, but I also refer to the blind spots which I asked you previously, because there are a lot of services, and also in the region I was noticing, we'll load half an hour after the closing time. I say, why? Where is this bill? Where is this match to the order? Where is this? So basically, how do you build this service, this extra hour? Now we come, you might say it's the European mindset where we come with this mindset to say everything needs to be recorded, but it's actually the transparency of the services which are being offered and which need to be invoiced, because this is the uplift of the revenue at the end. And we are witnessing here in Europe of change of the services which are being brought, which are being offered also on the terminals, and they all need to be aligned and need to be able to be shown in the terminal management system. And this is also a mindset change, definitely, to be able to have this operational transparency of each and every activity which takes place on the site, which also can be built and shall be built. This is, I would say, going back to from the business perspective, this is what digitalization also brings, and a terminal management digitalization projects brings to the, I would say, to the C-level of a company, because they will also ask, where are the numbers? How do I improve my numbers in bringing a new terminal management system? Well, this is how the possibility to be able to include different kind of services and have the next level of transparency in the terminal management system. This is one. The second one would be, I would say, sell the capacity instead of losing it, although it's not true because there is no capacity loss, but you can sell it much better. At the moment when the transparency is there and a terminal management system can offer real-time the availability of the tank, the berth occupancy, the loading rack utilization, the pipelines, so what's happening in the pipeline, what are the constraints, which products are there, you have the capability to take decisions, as also mentioned previously, more agile, and basically to redecide on how you use the capacity available on site. So this would be the second point where I say a terminal management system improves this and contributes to the revenue improvement. And for the third point, I would say it's this commercial, be able to say, can we handle this extra, shipment next week? Are we able to do this? So by having a terminal management system with a planning, which is always up to date, you have the capability to give up the multiple spreadsheets and emails and so on, to have everything integrated in one tool, and to be able to take in the future forecasting, to take better decisions on it. So this is basically, it's not taking decisions today, tomorrow, and the next day. So the 3 days, I always knew it was a 3 days decision, or the planning. I would say the biggest planning which I saw in the region was for 5 days to take. So fixed planning definitely is to take decisions for next week and in 2 weeks and in 3 weeks, because you have the capability to get the real-time data from the site. So bottom line, if we take a look at the revenue impact of a TMS, it's a combination of better billing the services which take place, using more effective and more efficiently, definitely, the capacity on site, and basically to be able to do more faster decisions. So efficiency through digitalization is not just a cost topic, so to say. If I may also confirm what you're saying, is it's actually a true value and growth driver for the terminal operators.
Thank you, Monica. Ahmed, I need to get back to you. You've been silent for quite some time.
I've been enjoying the conversation.
Thank you. Regarding stock turn rate optimization, I think it's an intimate topic for you. How can real-time data visibility improve tank turnover and free up working capital?
I think this relates a little bit to what Monica was just mentioning. This visibility is the basis for the decision making. Having the right data in the right time enables the operation and management to decide what to do next with this tank and how to ensure that a changeover is flawless and timely done. The problem we see sometimes is you only find out too late about certain developments that have taken place in the business, and with this effort needed behind the changeover, then you have to build all this into your overall utilization, and then you lose some of the time that you could have been using to increase your revenue as a result. This we see especially in terminals where the capacity is limited and the turnover is high, which applies a lot to many of the terminals in the Middle East region. The simple solution will be build another tank, but then look at the investment needed to build the entire landscape required for this from a hardware point of view. You have already invested heavily in state-of-the-art, up-to-date hardware, And just by making the best use of it, sweating the asset, as we say it, you ensure that your turnover is achieving better efficiencies for you. And sometimes it's changing over between products. If you have a multi-product operation, especially in the area of chemicals business, where hundreds of products share the capacity in the tanks and can continuously be reused for different other products. With this level of complexity and sophistication, having this kind of clarity and visibility, and then sometimes introducing the layer of AI capability in certain decisions based on patterns and trends, being able to forecast and foresee for your future how and when is the right time to make the changeover, then you improve your likelihood of making more through less, utilizing the existing investment that you have to generate more return. This, in my view...
Ahmed, a quick follow-up. Did you finish? Because I want to give you a quick follow-up question regarding multi-product changeover efficiency. How can automation reduce downtime and contamination risk during product switchovers?
In essence, the risk comes from taking the decision in the wrong moment. So you start pumping new product while the old product is still there. And if you don't have that visibility, then you're already prone to contamination. So making sure that the right moment is not too early as well as not too late. Because being too late means you lose utilization. Being too early, you're risking contamination. And it's only through this synchronization of the operational technology and the information technology, so OT and IT, and having the seamless integration at the layer of your daily decision-making tool, the terminal management solution, then you're able to minimize these risks while improving the efficiencies. It's a balance that has to be struck between the two decision-making points.
Thank you, Ahmed. Monica, I need to get back to you. You are the expert, or one of the world experts in terminal management solutions. And so I have two questions for you. The first one regarding tank utilization and allocation. Okay, so this is the first one. What role does predictive software play in avoiding dead stock or underused tanks?
Well, that's a very good question, and thank you very much also for the compliment. I might have lived a few years there, but yes. What is quite interesting is that how I said, dead stock and underused tanks are a silent efficiency killer, so to say, because on the paper you have 85-90% utilization, so to say, but in practice you have a slow moving product which can block high value tanks for weeks, actually. So it's basically how do you manage to get this via predictive software to have this forward-looking planning tool, so to say, out of it. So based on that, you can have a tool which basically forecasts how the tank occupancy will develop, as mentioned also previously, over the coming days, weeks, and also months, definitely for the high volume tanks there are in the region. So and this is basically how you can also find out that a prime tank is being blocked by a slow product. Quite interesting. Or you have an idle capacity that could be used better. So the outcome is quite tangible, where when you have this kind of a predictive software, you can use the capacity better, you can be more flexible, and you have a significantly less working capital locked in the tank, so to say.
Okay, thank you. The other question, and I think I'm gonna kind of combine a larger question. First, regarding truck loading and scheduling, what efficiency gains have we observed from digitizing the truck dispatch and queue management? And the other one, because our customers, not only they use trucks for transportation, okay, and so on, but we have other means of terminal management, which is through railway and mainly through vessels. So for vessel berth planning, and this is a key also requirement for our customers in the Middle East, because they ship out many of their crude or refined products. How does integrated planning improve berth occupancy and reduce demurrage?
Thank you. So I think I'll try to
So I
answer.
try to do both, kind of,
Yes.
the trucks and the vessels at the same time in one question.
Well,
as fast as we can.
As fast as we can. Yes, I understand. I understand the lack of time, but perhaps to answer it very shortly. So an integrated planning with different kind of systems being integrated for the truck loading process, having different ecosystems also integrated, and also for the berth planning, having vessel scheduling systems and so on integrated in a TMS system. This is basically where the efficiency can come from. So this is also a very painful KPI, so to say, which needs to be tackled. And if I would go specifically to the vessels topic, when you have an integrated planning, you can know which vessels are coming and are arriving when, and which tanks you have available, which pipelines and pumps are free, and which, let's call it, landside operations are following, because you have rail, you have perhaps trucks which are following after the vessel comes. So when you have this capacity to have an integrated planning with a terminal system, everything, you have a better transparency, and your entire view becomes end-to-end, and you have the capability to also take decisions on short time, because this is actually, you get a better overview of what's happening on the loading racks, and also on the berth overview, taking a look towards vessels. You have the capability to take decisions on short time. So this is how an integrated planning in the TMS, integrating the ecosystem and the platforms around the TMS system can bring a benefit to this. I hope I answered that in 2 minutes. Thank you.
I know it's a broader and much more detailed, but thank you, because we are short on time, and
we can do a webinar on just on these two topics. I think I can talk 2 hours about this.
Monica, about the planning part.
Yes, definitely.
In essence, every one of the subjects we touched upon today can really be expanded and elaborated a lot more. And there must be also in the round many questions popping up in people's minds about some of those different subjects we touched upon, and recognizing, of course, that everybody's time is precious, and on a Monday getting started with the week is really challenging. We deliberately decided on 1 hour, but we definitely would like to keep on the communication and the exchange in this regard. So we would be very happy to address any further questions, insights, or discussion requests from any of the participants to all 3 of us. So you have on the screen here all our contacts, and please feel free to connect to us on LinkedIn or send us questions even by email. We would be happy to take these into further, more personalized discussions as the need might be. We would be also very happy to meet in person, and the next round of possibility for us will be in Rotterdam on the 10th and 11th of March, one of the biggest fairs in Europe, and might I say in the globe, for terminal management, is called StocExpo. And we're happy to meet you there at our booth. Please feel free to register. It's a free registration, and there will be participation from all of us on that fair, and we'd be happy to pick up some of this conversation and discuss even more. if you're interested in this topic or any other topics related to terminal efficiency and operation efficiency at large, please feel free to also join, follow our page in OpenTAS and our group in YouTube, because that will allow us also to keep up the dialogue. We recognize that every view enriches and also gives us an opportunity for learning as a result. Last but not least, I would ask you to kindly scan this code that you see on the screen and give us some feedback on this particular session. And we'll be looking forward to meeting in any of these venues mentioned and looking forward to meet some of you in person quite soon. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ahmed. Thank you, Monica, for attending. And thank you, everyone, for attending. And like Ahmed said, we're ready to answer any questions, whether by email or by a phone call, or by a specific workshop or presentation or a visit to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a wonderful afternoon.